Long ago, the greatness of a country was measured by the size of its lands. Those with vast territories were considered the most powerful. However, over the centuries, that notion of power has changed. Currently, a nation's popularity is no longer solely linked to the size of its territory, but to its economic and technological strength. In this video, we're going to show the story of a country with a colossal geographical extension and a considerably large population despite its economic challenges. Imagine a place with 95 million inhabitants and a vast area of 2,300,000 square kilometers. This country is in the heart of Africa, in the center of the continent, known as the Heart of Africa. Welcome to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Until 1960, this nation was colonized by Belgium and France. After decades of a rudimentary lifestyle, where millions of people lived on less than $1 a day since the 19th century, the country sought its independence. Located in the center of Africa, it borders countries like Sudan, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, and Angola. The local currency is the Congolese franc. Although it is possible to conduct transactions with credit cards, it is prohibited to take this currency out of the country. Before that, it needs to be converted into dollars. The average income of an adult is around 172,000 Congolese francs per month, equivalent to about $0. Now, suppose you have some Congolese francs in your pocket and you want to go shopping at the market. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo's market, you can buy bread from street vendors for 300 Congolese francs, approximately 12 to 15 cents. On the other hand, a pomegranate juice drink costs around 50 cents. Due to the lack of reliable public transportation, negotiating with taxi drivers is essential as most do not have meters. An average trip in the capital costs around 4,000 Congolese francs, equivalent to approximately $1.50, providing a convenient way to get around. Although these services may seem attractive to some, they are not easily accessible to the local population. Furthermore, it is expressly forbidden to take photographs in airports, public buildings, and in front of government palaces. These places are considered critical points for national security in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and capturing architectural details is restricted to avoid potential threats. When visiting the country, it is crucial to respect these rules. Soldiers remain vigilant against anyone with a camera in hand. It is worth noting that the country's name, which includes the word Congo, actually represents a tribe whose meaning is a hunter. With over 200 African ethnic groups and dozens of tribes, the most populous population, approximately 17 million people, resides in the capital, Kinshasa. The official language is French, making Kinshasa the largest francophone city in the world. In this bustling capital, the first impression may be one of modernity. However, as you wander its streets, even in the central areas, you'll encounter dirt roads and the predominant presence of motorcycles. Due to their lower cost, private cars are rare, but minibuses filled with local passengers are a common sight. Electricity is scarce in most homes, and even when available, outages are frequent. Household waste is thrown into the streets as waste collection is poor. Walking through the market may mean being surrounded by various airborne bacteria. It is vital to remember that due to similar situations in other African countries, it is highly recommended to receive essential vaccinations such as malaria and yellow fever when traveling to Africa. The difficult situation of this large country is not solely due to its past exploitation, as is the case in many African countries. The Democratic Republic of the Congo faces serious corruption problems, primarily attributed to a lack of education and competence. Most of the country's leaders come from impoverished backgrounds and, upon reaching power, often exploit the country for their own benefit. In a notable example, a previous leader diverted 5,000 million from the state treasury in the 1970s. Although he was eventually overthrown in an uprising in 1996, problems persisted with subsequent leaders unable to halt corruption. Today, only a small elite lives in relative luxury, mostly composed of relatives of politicians in government positions. The children of these politicians avoid the poorest areas, opting for the wealthy and elitist neighborhoods of the city. However, in impoverished areas, there are individuals who live as if they were rich, especially in the music industry, adding a touch of color to life in the country. Unfortunately, due to corrupt leaders and their descendants, investment in the people is scarce, resulting in primitive living conditions. For example, in the market, many people do not have shopping carts and carry their food on their heads. In some regions, train passages are inaccessible, leading people to travel on the roofs of trains. On public roads, some work as porters, sweepers, or street vendors to survive. Due to the scarcity of healthy meat, people turn to alternative sources of protein, such as larvae, or adopt more challenging methods, such as buying food in the city and reselling it in villages, traveling long distances on bicycles through muddy roads. However, bicycles are frequently used as cargo vehicles. Truck drivers transporting goods between cities also face challenges, encountering unpredictable surprises along the way, such as narrow roads, treacherous swamps, and tires punctured by sharp objects, among other obstacles. The country is grappling with a series of security challenges in the lives of its inhabitants, with United Nations peacekeeping forces present on the borders to prevent potential conflicts between African states. The main reason for tense diplomatic relations between these states is the shortage of jobs and limited national resources, leading them to compete for the resources of other nations. Deposits of precious minerals like cobalt and gold are the most valuable resources in this region and become frequent targets of rebel groups. Although the importance of gold is widely understood, it is important to note that cobalt plays a vital role in our lives, being an essential component in most lithium batteries present in cell phones and laptops. Nowadays, Chinese companies realized years ago that cobalt reserves in the country would become valuable, and as a result, they acquired 15 of the 19 mining companies in Congo. Therefore, when acquiring an electronic device manufactured in China, it is important to know that its raw materials were likely extracted from Congo. Additionally, Chinese companies have established research centers for gold mining in the depths of the Congo River, with over 90% of the extracted gold going directly to these companies. Local workers in the mines face various challenges, including neglect and frequent fights during work due to the lack of safety concepts at the site, resulting in many accidents. Occasionally, Africans lose control and fight each other, largely due to the almost total absence of workplace safety measures, with company representatives often being culpable for such incidents. Besides mines, many African workers rely on river water for their water needs. Although they drink turbid and muddy water, they claim that their bodies have adapted to this situation and they do not get sick. However, it is important to note that constant consumption of turbid water can result in future cardiovascular diseases and digestive system obstruction. In some regions, attempts are made to provide clean water in cans, but the available amount is insufficient due to the large population. When a water tanker is sighted, people rush with plastic containers, as every drop of water is invaluable to them. Faced with this deficiency, some Congolese families prefer to live in camps established by humanitarian organizations as they cannot sustain themselves. However, the number of tents is not adequate to meet the needs of the 90 million inhabitants. Workers in the mines express their dissatisfaction with their situation, working in conditions considered unacceptable, constantly covered in dirt while digging minerals from the earth and receiving only $15 per month. As a result, they develop a very negative view of Chinese companies, considering these working conditions precarious. In some cases, Congolese people choose to completely isolate themselves from society, opting for a primitive life in tribes in the heart of the jungles, setting traps and using bows and arrows to hunt animals, maintaining the traditions of their ancestors and avoiding life in the city. However, the depths of the jungle also present their own challenges, and their lives are far from free of dangers. During a hunt, you may encounter groups of gorillas, and the most sensible attitude in those cases is to flee. Even if you possess considerable fighting and survival skills in nature, confronting gorillas or lions still represents an extremely high risk. Life in the country is even more challenging for women, who face significant deterioration in their mental health. Many of them seek to overcome the traumas experienced along with their children in rehabilitation centers. Given the frequency of actions against women across the country, after each civil conflict between tribes, many women are kidnapped and subjected to abuse. In a nation where life is already a battle for men, women face 3 times more difficulties. Despite the efforts of the United Nations peacekeeping forces to maintain security, incursions into villages leave women and children in tears. Additionally, children face an uncertain future, with no clear direction and no ability to dream of a better life. The average age in the country is only 23 years old, and the streets are filled with young children running around, many of them without access to education. When they see a camera, they smile and start following it. Families have as many children as possible as life expectancy is low, and children can help with chores, so each family easily raises 7 or 8 children. The daily entertainment of people involves fights between men who take pride in their strength and invite others to duels. Rejecting the challenge is seen as cowardice, making these duels full of competition and excitement. People dance and sing as they watch, and in the end, whoever touches the ground is considered the loser. Despite not having access to the sea, the Democratic Republic of the Congo practices fishing by taking advantage of the Congo River in the west of the country. People in the western region use the river for fishing and making a living, some of them without boats, resorting to nets in the turbulent waters. In summary, the Democratic Republic of the Congo is one of the most densely populated countries in Africa, but this density is associated with poverty, security problems at borders, lack of happiness, corruption, and decay in the education and health systems, challenges faced by the population. Most of the precious minerals are in the hands of foreign companies. To achieve prosperity and peace, the country needs to free itself from these companies and place genuinely patriotic and competent leaders in government. Otherwise, the current situation will not improve. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your like and comment. See you in the next video.